uniform between how with Folks, we're gonna go live in just a minute or two here. Uh, I assure you it will be worth. Hey guys, sorry for the delay there. Just a couple of minutes, had to grab a headphone so that there wouldn't be too much echo or audio issues during this stream, so I had to run and grab those. We're gonna get started. I'm just gonna take a couple more minutes to let folks in the other streams know that this thing is getting going, because I have had a lot of questions from people, and I have also got a lot to get through. And what I don't want to do is to continue to hijack the usual live streams. I know a fair amount of my audience likes it when I kind of step in and talk to you guys. And there's also a portion that really just wants these things to be archival streams, and I can relate to both of those. For me, I'm more inclined that they just be the streams themselves and not have too much commentary. But certainly on a day like today, I've got some insight and context. If you guys who are watching right now, just let me know in the chat box here if the audio is okay or not. Give me a heads up in there. while I get set up, and we're gonna get rolling soon. Perfect, sounding good. All right, so I put out a tweet, and I put something out in the main stream. Now, just to let you guys know, as far as why exactly do I have this set up so that, for heaven's sakes, bear with me one moment. I forgot to set up the feed for the PowerPoint, or accidentally deleted it or something. While I do that, maybe we'll just throw it over to the stream audio. What is he saying? I cannot understand him. He's saying something, but I don't know what it is there. What have I done? I've clicked something that I did not want to click. There we go. Okay. Nope. It's done a thing. How about now? Oh, you kill me. This program kills me. How's that? Is that good? No, that'll be good enough. Okay. I think that is as good as the configuration is going to get for now. Now, for anyone who's confused by what is going on with this stream, why do I have 3 streams up? I'll just do a quick recap for you in terms of how many streams are going on right now. So there are 3. So the one in the middle has been running pretty much continuously without any major interruptions or variation. It did take a break overnight, but same as the setup yesterday. I'm streaming from an antenna in California because that SDR in California on 8992 kilohertz is getting fabulous reception from the EMs being broadcast by Mercury E6s flying over the Pacific just off the coast of California. The other stream, the one on the left, that's part of the regular daily streams. And that one, I've been trying to make sure it at least gets good reception of the broadcast from the E6s on the East Coast of the US. Now, mostly it's been running that stream series that it's part of uses a SDR located in Kansas because there's some advantages to that SDR. The main one, honestly, that it does not kick you off or time you out, so I can pretty much run it 24/7, except the times that there's no slots available, which fair enough. But it has not been getting good reception for most of the messages that we're going to talk about today. So I've been jumping around with that one. We've got a message going right now.
Gas mask. Break. Quebec. 5. Hotel. 6. Victor. Bravo. Stand by. Quebec. 5. Hotel. 6. Victor. Bravo. Stand by. Quebec. 5. Hotel. 6. Victor. Bravo. Stand by. Message follows. Quebec. 5. Hotel. 6. Victor. Bravo. Tango. X-ray. Lima. 2. Echo. Golf. Tango. Bravo. Delta. Echo. 6. Charlie. Golf. X-ray. Foxtrot. Alpha. Hotel. Charlie. Victor. 6. Bravo. I say again. Quebec. 5. Hotel. 6. Victor. Bravo. Tango. X-ray. Lima. 2. Echo. India. November. Fall. Tango. Bravo. Delta. Quebec. Echo. 6. Charlie. Golf. X-ray. Foxtrot. Alpha. Hotel. Charlie. Victor. 6. Bravo. This is gas mask. More to follow. Stand by. Quebec. 5. Uniform. Mike. Quebec. 3. Stand by. Quebec. 5. Uniform. Mike. Quebec. 3. Stand by. Quebec. 5. Uniform. Mike. Quebec. 3. Stand by. Message follows. Quebec. 5.
Guys, I'm just gonna interrupt that one. Now, I've already heard some of these messages, so if I've already heard them before, I don't need to listen to it to transcribe it. But do you guys who are watching the stream, do you want me to pause so that you can hear it, or how do you want to handle that? Because this is going to happen a lot during the stream, and we've got a lot to go through, and it's kind of up to you how much you want me to balance or not balance and potentially get interrupted by that. That's entirely at your discretion. I don't know want to put a poll or anything, but if you guys want to just let me know in the chat box, up to you. My suggestion would be we've got a lot to talk about, so I'll err towards interrupting when I can. But maybe what I can do, let's see if this will work.
Romeo. 7. Foxtrot. Sierra. Echo. November. Oscar. Sierra. 7. Kilo. Delta. Echo. 2. 6. Whiskey. Sierra. November. Papa. Zulu. This is gas mask. Out. This is gas mask. Gas mask. Standing by for traffic.
Okay. Now, just for kind of context, and we went over this just a moment ago, very briefly though. The message is being broadcast at the 10s and the 40s. Those are most likely, just based on how this has worked historically, coming from E6s located over the Atlantic. So this is the only one that's currently airborne, Alpha Echo 0412, Pella 56. That's most likely who we're hearing broadcast right now. The 20s and the 50s, we may not hear it on this stream. I haven't seen how the particular set of SDRs I'm working are going to pick things up. But 20s and 50s are going to come from guys on the West Coast. And if we happen to hear anything at the 0s and the 30s, that's usually over the Gulf of Mexico, but we didn't hear anything yesterday. We didn't hear anything today. Now, where were we? I was just talking to you guys about why the 3 streams. So this is covering the 20s and the 50s. This is covering the 10s and the 40s. And this one, rather than interrupt the other 2 streams with active commentary, or kind of jumping from SDR to SDR as I've had to do for this one is really going to be what this is right now. So a little bit of information, a little bit of jumping around. We'll look at different SDRs and see what kind of traffic we can pick up. Just before this stream got going, we had some activity on the Charlie Echo window. And I thought it would be good to do this also because a lot of new subscribers again, and that's just because we've had more active participation in the chat box, and thanks to Up North and the folks who are supporting the channel and the thing that we're working on here. It's getting some more attention, which is always great. So once again, just time to kind of go through what is all this, because it is a daunting area. So the question is really, what is going on today? I've been putting out tweets, I've been putting out information on the channel saying, you know, something is happening, something big is happening, and basically it's pretty straightforward. There's this K-pop band I really like called Artemis. A week or two ago, they put a debut single called Birth. It was an amazing song. It literally reinvented K-pop. And the next single from the upcoming album, Flower Rhythm, they're going to release it at 1 p.m. Korean time today. It's currently about 7:45, so it's only a few hours away. I'm incredibly excited. I could talk about that for hours, but no, that's not what you actually are probably watching this stream for. What is going on exactly? So yesterday, and enough of you are here that I'll just go through this briefly, but if there are questions, that is why I have the chat box up on the stream, and you guys are invited and encouraged to leave questions, and if I don't answer them right away, I'll probably get back to them at the end of the stream. We'll just see whether it flows with what I'm talking about. So yesterday was unusual for EAMs. We had, at the end of the day, something like 37, 36 EAMs. I've had so much going on, I didn't double check. That is a high number. Oh, I didn't show you guys the frame. There we go. Oh, you didn't see the K-pop thing. This is the K-pop thing that I was talking about. Flower Rhythm. But no, that's not why you're here. This is the 3 streams, and this is what we're talking about. So yes, yesterday we had a about 37 EAMs. That number is high. If you were to look at historically what is the typical number of EAMs you get in a day, the running average is usually about 15. And anything north of 30 is about a busy day. You'll have sometimes in a given month, maybe 1 or 2 days that have more than 30 messages. Other times, you'll have October last year, I think we're going to look at as an example. The busiest any individual day of October 2023, there was one day with 25 messages. Now, there is some margin of error there. I don't always monitor all the E6s that are broadcasting EAMs because, again, most of them are repeats, but it gives you an idea. 37 is up there, but it's not way up there that in and of itself it's conspicuous. What was strange, I'm going to throw off studio mode so that when I click something, it actually goes to where I want it to go. Why isn't it showing Excel? Excel. There we go. That is not how I wanted it to look, but that's fine. It's working. We'll scroll up, so this is the day. Let's actually filter this just so that it's more focused. 40409. 37 messages, April 9th, 2024. This happens sometimes. What became interesting, though, is a certain message was repeated a high number of times. This was 20 times yesterday. This happens sometimes because the E6 is what they're usually doing as part of Strategic Communications Wing 1. They hear the EAMs broadcast by the ground stations and rebroadcast it, and they're often broadcasting it over the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean for the submarines, which is a lot of what we're seeing right now, right? So none of this should surprise you, except it's the high number. I've never seen an EAM get repeated quite this many times. People were asking me what is the record, and yesterday I wasn't sure. I wanted to double check. I did get a chance to double check, and now that I've double checked, I want to triple check. But certainly for my data set, for the transcriptions of EAMs I've been doing since I started getting into this, that is the record. But the thing is, it kept going. So it went into April 10th. We see in total this message was repeated a very large number of times. Very large. That is 30 times, and I think I missed at least one broadcast, so you're looking at 31 times. Something in that avenue. Where is the thing? Another thing that was irregular, we heard the E6s say that they're standing by for traffic, and you've heard that during the live streams because they're continuing to do that today. Now, ground stations will occasionally do this when they broadcast messages. They'll say they're standing by for traffic. E6s, I've only heard them do it with relation to SKYMASTER exercises. Some of you don't know what that is. I will go through that during this stream. So this is unusual. We just went through it broadcasting an excessive number of times. Another thing that we heard, and if you were with me during the live stream last night where I did commentary, I became quite confused and consternated. We had E6s checking into the net and checking out of the net. And just to put it simply, when an E6 wants to broadcast an EAM, it has to talk to the HFGCS ground station. So pretty much broadcast kind of a back and forth, and they just share, to keep it simple, we'll say they share passwords with each other to prove that they're who they say they are. And then the ground station kind of authorizes the E6 to go ahead and start repeating EAMs. And those will be considered authentic, maybe in the future if they have to reconcile records or something. And they'll usually do that. They'll check into the net, they'll broadcast their EAMs, They'll check out of the net, they land, that's it. The E6 is done. But these E6s were doing something else. They would check into the net, broadcast an EAM, check out of the net, still broadcast an EAM, then check into the net again, check out of the net, and all of this was very quickly and repetitively, and to me that kind of seemed like maybe it was a practice or something along those lines. Another thing that just did not seem correct to me, uh, E6s seem to not be following procedure, or maybe there's some special procedure ongoing where they were sharing call signs. So there were several points yesterday where it seemed like a plane would land and we knew a plane had been using a certain call sign, so we wouldn't expect to hear that call sign used anymore. But another plane in the air was broadcasting AMs apparently and using the call sign of the plane that had just landed. And if that sounds confusing, it was. This is not how it usually is for me. I don't have to explain things like this during other streams because this kind of thing doesn't happen. So that's what's going on. But again, for me, the most exciting thing is uh, Artemis's song is coming out in a few hours, and I think it's going to be an absolutely wonderful song. So for the new folks, I just want to go through kind of a quick primer for the HFGCS. What are emergency action messages? We're going to go through this very quickly, just for context. So usually, this is the normal circumstance. We know that EAMs are broadcast by the ground stations or Mercury 6s or E4s, and they're usually broadcasting on certain sets of frequencies. And like I just told you guys, I've been doing this for a while. I kind of track the amount of messages that are broadcast in a day, and I've been doing that on and off for a while. And just to show you guys, I guess just to kind of promote some of my past works, because I do think it's worth acknowledging. So if you go to the main channel page and you just look through, there are a few different kind of playlists that I've attached here. So the original thing, this was the original project that I started in 2022. And the first few videos are iffy, but eventually became like a compilation of all the EAMs broadcast any given day. So if you click any one of these, and if it feels like loading, there you go. And you'll see you can click through and there's a time card showing you all the EAMs. You can listen to recordings, and this was just to have an archive of it. I was very interested. I felt like people would put out individual recordings of the EAMs, but it wouldn't necessarily give you an idea of what's normal. So if someone comes on YouTube and tells you 20 EAMs were broadcast today, this is crazy. This means the US is going to war. When I first heard that, I thought, wow, is that real? Is that legitimate? Like, could you always tell the US is about to go to war? And sure enough, no. But that's why I kind of kept doing this to put that together so that when other people had that question in the future, I'd be able to answer that for them, and they'd be able to verify it for themselves with recordings if they were so inclined. A follow-up project that I ended a few months ago. Short, simple, to the point. As soon as you click a video, you're just going to get all the messages that were broadcast that day. And because this in and of itself is boring, I paired them all with K-pop and J-pop. So that's just kind of not a gimmick. That's genuinely, I enjoy doing that. But just on a hiatus from that, I want to revisit that idea in the future. But again, that is another source for giving you guys an idea. You can look through those quickly if you're so interested, and see what days had a lot of EMs, what days had a few EMs, what's typical, what's not. And even if you don't click the videos, you can just get an impression from the thumbnails, right? You see this day had 3 AMs, this one had I don't know how many, 3, and you can eyeball for yourself what's the typical amount of messages. And there's other stuff on this channel. Every now and again, if you do just upload like an individual message, some of these, see this one has 1,000 views, which is low for YouTube, but it's pretty good for this channel. Um, Stuff like that. A few, etc., etc. That's pretty much a blurb for the channel and some of the features. So that's how what I've been doing. That's how you can get an idea of frequency. Um, And this will just skim through because this is going to be important. I'm sure I'll get some questions about this. People will claim that an EAM ties into a real world event. So, for example, the last few years, things have happened in Russia, things have happened in Ukraine, things are now ongoing in Israel, Palestine, Iran. And people will say, I think, well, some of them will say this EAM definitely has to do with, for example, Iran. And those people are ridiculous. Some people will say, I think it has something to do with Iran. That's fair enough. If you weren't familiar, you might say, and I guess I would just draw hesitation there because I don't see a strong correlation. And they don't have any pages set up for it, but I think this is far more likely to relate to a pre-scheduled US military exercise than to be a reaction to anything going on, quote unquote, in the news. And the other thing, and this is kind of the biggest thing for me, but for some people, you will have no idea what this is and you will have no interest in it. There was a 274 message broadcast today. That is incredibly exciting for me. It sucks because the audio quality of the stream during that time was garbage. The SDR was getting horrible reception, so we can barely hear it. Um, and we'll talk about what exactly is a 274 message as far as we know. So there are lots of different kinds of messages on the HFGCS. A couple weeks ago, I re-uploaded a video that I did on quadruple eight messages. I'm going to start calling them octopus messages. I don't care. Octopus messages, that is a name I've come up for. These are messages that start with 8888. They're very different from other EAMs. Some other things, and we've heard some of it today. Uh, they will use other frequencies for communicating between planes, and those aren't EAMs. That's just regular voice traffic with occasional data signals. SKYMASTER traffic and SKYMASTER events, that's something I'm very interested in. And sometimes we hear, strange test broadcasts. Sometimes we hear something there's called a NERUP report. And what we heard today, which I think is related to a nuclear recovery report, or sorry, NERUP stands for Nuclear Execution and Recovery Plan. We're not quite sure what that means per se. And then, like I said, a 274 message. We'll just skip ahead here. So we don't know a lot about these. But the only other time I've heard them or seen them documented is in the context of a SKYMASTER event. There's a 2012 blog by a gentleman called Larry Van Horn who passed away last year, which is a shame for the shortwave radio community because he was very much on top of his game with tracking all kinds of US military and other shortwave radio signal oddities. And he is pretty much one of the only information sources about 274 messages, but what he has is not very much. If you type into search 274 message in YouTube, and I think you have to put 274 message NEET, otherwise you'll get something irrelevant, or you may not get pertinent results. You'll get two of, I think only a handful of 274 message recordings that have ever gone up on the internet. And I will note for you guys, I am keeping an eye on the SDRs in the background here. Nothing on 11175, nothing on 8992 right now, so I'm grateful to the US military for pausing their whatever it is that they're doing so I can kind of walk through this stuff. Now, the one thing we do know or have noticed about 274 messages, um, there was one this year where a 274 message was broadcast, and at some point a EAM was broadcast, and the only difference between the 274 message and the EAM was 3 letters. At the very end of the 274, they were omitted to make the EAM, which is interesting. So we're not quite sure what those are, but they exist. They're very rare. I want to say there's probably I could find like 4 recordings, I think, of 274 messages on the internet anywhere. I'm sure with a little bit more digging, there's probably no more than 10 recordings of these available on the internet anywhere. They do not seem to be broadcast very often. Now, you've heard me mention SKYMASTER a couple times. This is something I'm super interested in because, as far as we can tell, uh, when we talk about what's interesting on the HFGCS, as I mentioned, I've been doing this on and off for over 2 years. You get an idea of what's typical, what's not typical. Most days no longer have anything that makes me think, oh, that's odd. But there are a few times a year, in January 11th of this year, I believe, is a recent example, where hundreds of EAMs were broadcast in a handful of hours. We heard 274 messages. We heard these SKYMASTER format messages. We heard these nuclear execution recovery plan reports. It was an incredibly hectic period of time. And if you're interested in EAMs or this kind of thing excites you, this is probably what you are interested in. And if you haven't heard about them, it's strange. Why exactly would you be hearing about this from me and not somewhere else? And there's a few reasons for this. It's just I've spent time looking online and looking for like documentation of certain, SkyMaster events, records of EAMs, things like this. It's generally been a niche thing. Niche? Why did I say niche? You know what I'm trying to say. And there's not a lot of information available out there. This I put that they've been distracted by HFGCS traffic more generally. By that, I mean they're usually more interested in just a general idea. Oh my goodness, there was 20 EAMs broadcast today, or oh, there was a Sky King message, which those things can kind of happen for any number of reasons. But to find these things, they broadcast at unusual times. So a lot of the traffic that we're talking about today, to get to the total of 100 messages, you had to have been monitoring overnight. And we'll look at that, all those EAMs again, because I didn't actually go through all the ones broadcast overnight for you guys. But people usually don't monitor the HFGCS all night. They also don't monitor during, the middle of the week. This is a Wednesday. It's the work week, right? It's not a holiday. This is a business day. Most people do this as a hobby. So that could even be intentional. I'm not sure to what extent that's a reliable thing to speculate on. I'm just getting interrupted by some noise on the 8992 kilohertz band, but it doesn't look like it's actually going to be a message. But it's kind of throwing me off. I'll show you guys what I mean. If you see the fourth from the left, the one on the right. And by the way, guys, I am seeing your questions. I will respond to them when I think they're relevant. It's just throwing me off. You can tell that's not going to turn into an EAM, so I don't know what that is, whether that's a radar or just local interference or something. It does not look like it's what we're interested in. So that's why you haven't heard about these from anyone else other than me. Um, and then my digging for what SkyMaster messages are, I noticed some periodicity, so you may be able to anticipate in advance when they happen. And this is kind of a pseudo calendar that I really need to finalize and double check because I know some of these dates were just rough and quickly noted down, and I didn't mean for it to be something I would still be using as a reference point 3 months later. I made this back in January. If you look at some of these dates and you look at some of my previous posts on Twitter and on this channel, I had like a vague hunch that we would maybe have something happening in April, but I wasn't sure what it would be or when. I was expecting like something like a mini SkyMaster, and I wasn't really sure what a mini SkyMaster is, but just to give you an example of why I look at this and think that this is repetitive. Um, does that draw a shape? It doesn't draw a shape the way I want it to. January 11, 2023, January 11th, 2020, for heaven's sakes. That gives you an example. You can look through these dates that are listed and get some more examples. And you can see some dates listed for April last year, and some of those were me. I heard SKYMASTER messages in April, but that was still when I wasn't quite sure what these things were. So there, April 16th is a Sunday, April 21st is a Friday. These felt random and non-definitive. So I didn't know what to expect this month, but I've just been running some more streams. Like I wasn't expecting anything in March, which is okay, there's a message going. Let's see.
Man, break. 5. Uniform. Height. Set. First down, right? Disregard the last transmission. All stations. This is gas mask. Gas mask. Break. Quebec. 5. Hotel. 6. Victor. Bravo. Stand by. Quebec. 5. Hotel.
All right, we're just going to mute him because this is one of the ones that we've heard before. I've got to double check the recording to figure out why exactly did he disregard that message. But my hunch is he was just reading the wrong one. We may have to tune back in because I'm curious whether he's going to follow this up with a second message. Actually, yeah, I do want to listen to this one, guys.
6. Victor. Bravo. Tango. X-ray. Lima. 2. Echo. India. November. Off. Tango. Bravo. Delta. Quebec. Echo. 6. Charlie. Ball. X-ray. Foxtrot. Alpha. Hotel. Charlie. Victor. 6. Bravo. I say again. Quebec. 5. Hotel. 6. Victor. Bravo. Tango. X-ray. Lima. 2. Echo. India. November. Golf. Tango. Bravo. Delta. Quebec. Echo. 6. Charlie. Golf. X-ray. Foxtrot. Alpha. Hotel. Charlie. Victor. 6. Bravo. This is gas mask. More to follow. Stand by. Quebec. 5. Uniform. Fight. Quebec. 3. Stand by. Quebec.
Okay, so it was mainly, I just wanted to hear whether he was going to continue to read 2 EAMs at a time or just one. So it does sound like he's reading 2 at a time. I will have to double check that the first thing at 2310 where he disregarded, and I agree with the comment from Jay where it did sound like in the background someone was telling him, we've moved on or something else to that effect to let him know he's made a mistake. That happens sometimes. Right. So I guess what I wanted to explain to you guys about SKYMASTERs And this has been a very, very brief summary. If you guys want to go to know more about SkyMaster, you want to know more about the HFGCS, these slides that we've went through, most of them are literally from that presentation, which was released back in January. That's the title if you want to look for it, HFGCS SkyMaster. I imagine if you just put HFGCS SkyMaster NEET, you should find it in YouTube search results. Maybe bookmark it for later if you're new to all this and want to know what's going on. Because for a lot of people, if I go through it right now, it's going to be, I I know Jay is here right now. He's heard me talk about all of this many times. So the question, I think, the main question that's coming up right now is what is this? What is going on? And this thing that is posted in an earlier slide is probably the best guess that I've seen. Um, Exercise Global Thunder is the U.S. Strategic Command's annual field training and battle staff exercise designed to exercise all mission areas with primary emphasis on nuclear command and control. So it's a very thorough and intense exercise, what it is that they're doing here. And the reason I think that is because in the past we've seen Skymasters correspond to this. Now, what's going on today, we're still not sure whether it is a Skymaster or not, but we did hear again a 274 message, which I think corresponds to Skymaster events. We've heard E6s say that they're standing by for traffic, which I think corresponds to Skymaster events. Now, this is a lot of thinking, but when you kind of add these things up, it makes me think that we're headed in that direction. Now, let me pull up momentarily. And again, we're going to be promoting ourselves, I guess. But just because I know I posted about this. This is from a US financial document, and if you want to know things about the US military, where is this? There we go. The life hack is to read their boring financial documents that nobody reads because it tells you a lot. So the fiscal year for the US government starts October 1st of each year, I think. October 1st, which means right now we are in the third financial quarter as of 10 days ago. So when you find this document saying this is the stuff the US military has planned, this is what it needs money for from the government, this gives you an idea of their plans for the third quarter of financial year 2024. And I've highlighted for you all the things it could possibly be, assuming they stick to schedule. And my impression of this thing is they generally do stick to schedules for this stuff. And does that ever match up with what I was just saying? Global Thunder, Global Lightning. I'm even mixing things up here, actually. I see a comment, you cannot hear me. Is that generally the case? Can people not hear me? Please let me know. Can't hear you, only static. Oh heavens. How about now? How about now? There's going to be a lag here because there's about a minute between you guys, me saying something, and you guys hearing it. I accidentally clicked the wrong setting and I'm unable to change that. Okay, you guys are saying it's good now. I have no idea what you did not hear. I'm gonna guess that we left off here. Um, I think this is where you guys lost me when I was talking about the Global Thunder exercise. Um, the question kind of is why exactly is all of this going on today? And I don't have a definite answer, but we've seen in the past that SKYMASTER events, which I'm still not sure that's what we're dealing with today, and yesterday, but signs are pointing towards it. Um, Everything I'm talking about in isolation isn't a big deal. 30 messages isn't a big deal. A message being repeated a lot, odd, but so what? An E6 saying it's standing by for traffic. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not exclusive to SkyMaster events. A 274 message. Maybe that's not exclusive to SkyMaster events. But it's just a lot of little things that are adding up, and I've only ever seen them in the context of SkyMaster events. So I think that's what it is. And the reason I think it could be one of these exercises is, okay, it's the unclassified document where you guys are saying that I lost you. So let's hop back over to that thing now. There we go. So this unclassified document, it's a long, boring, like thousands of pages with a bunch of appendices and supplements and etc. And these things really suck to read through. They're very boring. I've not actually read through them, but they have a lot of Easter eggs, for lack of a better term, where the US military tells you exactly what it's going to do throughout the year. So the US fiscal year starts October 1st rather than January 1st like the rest of us. That's fine. Which means right now we are actually in the third quarter of the fiscal year. The third quarter started April 1st, so we're now 10 days into it. And I just highlighted for you everything that was scheduled to occur um, in this quarter. Now, I don't know how rigorously the US Department of Defense sticks to these schedules. From looking through some historical documents, I didn't get a sense that things were especially slippery. So I would suggest that these are our most likely guesses. So Global Thunder isn't actually highlighted, and I'm noticing that now, but I know I've seen people talk about Global Thunder being delayed. They weren't sure what was going on with it. I don't know how correct they are. I'm sure we will find out in postscript. Actually, I'm not sure we'll find out because the U.S. Department of Defense used to put out a lot of pressers after these exercises were done, saying the exercise were done. They seem slower to do that now, if not entirely uninterested in doing it anymore for certain things. So we may not actually find out whether we're correct or not. But just because it's not one of the ones highlighted doesn't mean it's definitely not possible. And some of these are probably less likely. I highlighted the European air and missile defense exercise at the bottom of this chart, just because it is scheduled for this quarter, but we're not really seeing anything going on over Europe to the best of my knowledge, so that's probably less likely, but it's just there to give you an idea. In terms of folks asking whether it has to do with, uh, you know, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, and is this coming up in questions here? I- I'm not qualified to comment on that. Like, I haven't followed it actively. Even if I followed it actively, I know very little about it. Honestly, to be blunt about it, I care more about the K-pop I mentioned at the start of the stream, than some of this stuff in certain contexts. I'm not saying I don't care at all, but just it's not my expertise. It's not something I'm interested in developing expertise in. I don't consider myself an OSINT account, um, in the full sense of it, because I have a very niche niche interest in all this. It really is just the HFGCS and EAMs, and the only reason I know and I look into the planes is because, well, they broadcast E6's messages. I I just think this is more likely. An exercise makes a lot more sense, and even though it's not highlighted or included, I think it's makes more sense to me that the Global Thunder that I've seen a lot of these open source intelligence accounts on Twitter and Blue Sky, etc., talk about. I think that makes more sense and is more likely uh, to be the cause. Because the thing is, when we kind of pick out things that are going on in the news, or we pick out things that are going on in some or other part of the world, there's kind of a confirmation bias. And I guess a really quick example, um, October 7th, 2023, terrible day. If you check the HFGCS traffic that day and the days following, the days before, whatever, etc., it wasn't especially active. And when I point this out, some of you may fairly wonder, well, maybe it's because they were too busy for like maybe there were no messages because they were busy responding or something, and that doesn't make a lot of sense to me because it's like, well, wouldn't if that's kind of the working theory that EAMs relate to that sort of a thing, wouldn't they be busy? And then, on a day like today, well, you'll say, okay, well, now it is busy. See, it's a correlation. I'm not trying to belittle it. I'm just saying it doesn't make a lot of sense, and no one's ever been able to uh, take the time to pull together a record of all the EAMs and create some kind of a chart or compelling set of data that says, look, when these things happen in the world, this is how the EAM traffic changes. That's actually what I went into this wanting to do, right? When I started tracking EMs, I was like, man, if I prove these correlations, that's insane. Like that'll be top button stuff. And as it's gone on, it's just become very obvious to me that it doesn't really seem to be any connection. This to me looks like a exercise that was planned in advance. It involves Mercury E6s over the continental US and immediate coastlines. It involves nuclear submarines that are within the immediate US. I don't think anything going on in the Middle East right now that's kind of grabbing our attention poses any imminent nuclear threat to the continental United States. So I don't see how these things would be connected. It's more likely to me, especially, when we hear a 274 message, which if you check out the SKYMASTER stream, uh, I talked to it a little bit more detail. This thing is broadcast if the current data sets are correct, and they probably aren't, but they're not going to be grossly incorrect. My guess would be once or twice a year. Let's say I'm off by a factor of 5, and it turns out to be 10 times a year. I think the point still stands. Um, these seem to be related to nuclear things, and I do not think Iran is posturing anything that suggests the US has to prepare a nuclear response or any kind of nuclear thing along those lines. And I mentioned this earlier, and I want to make sure I go through this with you folks. Now, the last few EAMs, and well, I've been preparing for this stream and so on. Um, these aren't accurate. I have to, well, some of them are not accurate. You can see I don't remember whether this was a message or just checking into the net. But we looked at the April 9th messages. We talked about the message being repeated 20 times, going into April 10th for a total of 30. And then at 2:20, there seemed to be a break. We didn't hear any messages being broadcast by any of the E6s. And then at 3:33 Universal Coordinated Time, Textbook was the ground station, so that's the net control station for the HFGCS. Broadcast a bunch of different EAMs, different from what we heard before. We never heard this one getting repeated again. And some of these messages are now being repeated by the E6s, and they did this all night. At one point, it changed, So instead of broadcasting the same EAM over and over, a gas mask broadcast a new one. So that was E6 on the East Coast. And then the ground station broadcast it. So I'll just highlight this for you guys, what I'm talking about. This was the E6 over the East Coast broadcasting a different message from what we heard earlier. So not that one anymore. This is new. And then the ground station broadcast it as well. Why don't we just do this? And then the E6 on the West Coast broadcast it, but it also broadcast the previous one again. So we started to see them broadcasting EAMs in pairs, the airborne planes. And so they were broadcasting those instead for a while. And it's just shifted here and there. At one point, textbook broadcast messages for a call sign Gelid, or it pronounced it strange, but I looked at historical call signs, and I think it was just the person not sure how to correctly read this. Gelid is a word that means like very cold or frigid. It's a homonym for that, I believe. You guys can let me know in the comments if I'm wrong about that, if there's any wordsmiths in here. And we've seen this continue. So the E6s continue to broadcast this message. And then it changes again around 1829. And and then it keeps doing that one. It broadcasts some messages in pairs, keeps going. And there was a question about this, probably in response to one of my tweets. Someone was asking Moss Fairy about a message where someone meows. So on the bonus stream, let's hop over to PowerPoint. So this one, the bonus stream, oops, I didn't mean to do that. That looks silly. If you pull that one up and you go to the relevant time, which is 2050. Actually, I wonder if I can just do that right now, because it is a funny message. Let's see. Will the audio work for Firefox if I do this? Yeah, it should. So let's pull up the bonus stream. So we're looking for 2050. That's right about it. It's this one. So there's a couple interesting things with this one, if you guys didn't hear it. I have to make sure that the audio is going to work here, so give me a moment. Thank you for bearing with the technical difficulties. I'm managing a bunch of feeds. I have to make sure the right thing is on screen, and we haven't been getting all of that spot on. But hopefully when I click play, you guys will hear this message. So I'll play the beginning, and we'll let it run for a little bit, and then we'll skip ahead to the end, because there's a couple interesting things that happen here.
All stations, all stations. This is green sky, breaks. Quebec, 5, uniform, Mike, Quebec, 3, stand by. Quebec, 5, uniform, Mike, Quebec, 3, stand by. Quebec, 5, uniform, Mike, Quebec, 3, stand by. Message follows. Quebec, 5, uniform, Mike, Quebec.
So at some point here,
Quebec,
doing the second reading.
Uniform. Mike. Quebec. 3. Delta. 2. 3. Yankee. Sierra. Romeo. 7. Foxtrot. Sierra. Echo. November. Oscar. Sierra. 7. Kilo. Delta. Echo. 2. 6. Whiskey. Sierra.
There was that. There's three things. So was that it? Or maybe it was during the
2.
first thing.
6. Whiskey. Sierra.
I think that's it. It's just that when he says whoa.
2. 6. Whiskey. Sierra. November. Papa. Zulu. This is Green Sky. Out.
And then there, if you didn't hear it, I'll play it again.
Zulu. This is Green Sky. Out.
To me, it sounds like somebody meowing. I'll do it one more time just in case.
This is Green Sky. Out.
Yeah, it sounds like meowing to me. Now, those guys, who knows? They've been up in the air for I don't know how long, so they're probably just screwing around. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, meow. So that was that question. Now let's throw it back to the mainstream window. There we go. And just see what other questions came up. What does funny reading mean? I'm not sure what you're asking about. I don't know when I mentioned funny reading. Ron mentions it's going to be a busy night and probably rest of the week. I will be honest, I cannot keep monitoring at this level for much longer. So if it keeps being busy, that's fine. I'll keep running, you know, the current setup where I have a stream and then during the day I'll have a bonus stream. But as far as commentary and transcribing messages, it's going to be tough to keep up because I've already put off a couple things yesterday and now today that I have to take care of whether I want to or not. So if EAM traffic continues as it is, if you guys want to help out, by all means, I have a Discord set up where I'm encouraging people to maybe work together to coordinate efforts for monitoring. But at some point, I'll just throw my hands up and say, there was a lot of EAMs today, or there was only a few EAMs. For things like 274 messages and so on, I'll still make that a priority. But yeah, I'm actually hoping this slows down a bit, at least for radio traffic, and it's good because it seems to have done. Up North mentions Russia has a defensive pact with Iran, so it's possible U.S. nuclear forces are on high alert. Again, it's possible. I don't want to say it's completely wrong because what do I know? This channel is very much set up in a principle that nothing I'm doing is something you couldn't do yourself or anyone. If you have an internet connection, you have access to some of the most powerful tools that mankind has ever created. As much as we take that for granted, we shouldn't. But it allows some goofy things where someone who does not have a military background, someone who is not incredibly interested in all aspects of the military except for its communications for whatever reason it is that this captivates me, is able to develop a pretty high level of proficiency. But again, there are levels where I don't know what I'm talking about. And when it comes to the greater scope of the US military, this is not something I know about. I don't know how it responds to certain threats. But my impression is when you look at this data over a very long time period, it doesn't look like we're able to predict things quite like that. Jay, your question was about 274 messages. Are they just 3 group blocks? They're not necessarily 3 group blocks. So we'll just throw up the transcription again. So when you see a message like this, usually what happens, and maybe let me pull up a transcription that someone has because I'm not going to be able to make a transcription because I couldn't hear it for the life of me. But let's pull this up. pull up Firefox. So I've talked about this guy before. Sigint on HF Underground. He does his own transcriptions of EAMs and so on. So I reached out to him um, to double check whether he heard this better. But when you listen to the recordings I posted to YouTube, I think this where he says a T74 message of 103 or whatever it is that he has it transcribed as. What I usually hear these as, and I'm just gonna kind of so that it's easier for you guys to follow along. And again, this is me editing his post. Oh, we've got some messages going. Let's take a listen.
Victor, Bravo, stand by. Quebec, 5, Hotel, 6, Victor, Bravo, stand by. Quebec, 5, Hotel, 6, Victor, Bravo, stand by, message follows. Quebec, 5, Hotel, 6, Victor, Bravo, Tango, X-ray, Lima, 2, Echo, India, November, Golf, Tango, Bravo, Delta, Quebec, Echo, 6, Charlie, Golf, X-ray, Foxtrot, Alpha, Hotel, Charlie, Victor, 6, Bravo, I say again, Quebec, 5, Hotel, 6, Victor, Bravo, Tango, X-ray, Lima, 2, Echo, India, November, Golf, Tango, Bravo, Delta, Quebec, Echo, 6, Charlie, Golf, X-ray, Foxtrot, Alpha, Hotel, Charlie, Victor, 6, Bravo. This is gas mask. North to follow. Stand by. Quebec. 5. Uniform. Mike. Quebec. 3. Stand by.
Okay. So I just wanted here to make sure that he was still repeating 2 messages at a time. I didn't want to talk through and then miss that and then have to backtrack through some of the other recordings that I've got going on right now. Also gave me a chance to finish what I was finagling with, as J Project noted, the life hack of the developer tool in browsers. So this is, I've edited his post, and if you refresh the page or load this yourself, you'll find that I've only edited it on my side as a client. I haven't actually edited the forum post itself. But this is what it sounds like to me, and this would match what previous 274 messages sounded like. So when they're broadcast, they will say exactly this. This is gas mask with a 274 message of 10 groups of 3, or whatever it is. And all the 274 messages I found online, they've all been in groups of 3, but the fact that they specify that to me opens up the potential for it to be groups of anything, groups of 4, groups of 5, groups of 10, groups of whatever it is that you want. Um, I will say I'm reasonably confident that he is incorrect when he called it a T74 message because the audio I have is not great, but it does sound like 274 to me. This 10 groups of 3 thing, um, I'm less sure of, but that is just an inference from how previous 274 messages have been broadcast. Now, just for, well, we actually just had it up on screen. So this was broadcast around 1414. So if you look at the April 9th overnight, no, April 10th overnight stream on this channel and go to that time, you will find it. You can hear it for yourself. We'll do that right now, but you hear very little. Like I had to download it and then amp up the volume. But let's go ahead and pull it up. And you guys are seeing all my wild YouTube recommendations there, but that's fine. There's nothing extraordinarily terrible. David Letterman is a hilarious man. This is a funny clip. I was too young for David Letterman. I never watched him uh before. I'm only being exposed to him by YouTube. Anyways, uh it's the overnight, and if we jump to, yeah, it's around this time, and you're not gonna hear a darn thing. So I'm gonna mute it, and you can really just tell from the visuals. Okay, you see this little thing like right underneath the green bar. I don't think you guys can see the cursor. I'm gonna try activating the cursor temporarily, and hopefully it doesn't cause this stream to fall apart. This right here and this right here, if you play this for yourself, you will very faintly hear the 274 message that is in question, but it's not very strong. And and I can't even tell when it starts or when it stops. It's that kind of like faint signal, even here where you can't see it. The only reason it picks up any of it is because occasionally this interference breaks through squelch, and while that interference is going on, you can hear the 274 messages in the background. Now, this is around when I had time to come and take a look at the stream because you see moments later I skip. I'm trying to see if I can hear it better on another frequency, but I couldn't tell what it was, and I was like, well, I need to take care of something else first. Uh, and that is what it is. My stream broke. Oh, thank you, Mario. One of my other streams froze. Yeah, so that one is timing out every 60 minutes. I have to keep an eye on it. That's the main one. Thank you very much. I can't do anything about that. Usually I use the Kansas SDR, but as I talked about earlier in this stream, the Kansas SDR is picking up message traffic very poorly, very faintly. But that stream is now running again, and I'll have to keep an eye on that. At some point, I'm just going to have to throw it to the Kansas SDR, and it will be the quality that it is, and that's pretty much the end of it. So yeah, that's kind of the caliber of the 274 message. It's not great. You can barely hear the thing, but it is there. And it is what it is. Let's follow along with more of the comments that we've received from you guys. JMB, I feel like now would be a good time to make a wire dipole for 111 and maybe 8992. I I think that would be neat. Yeah, I should go for it. Tim comments, Iran missile launch tonight apparently. And then we just gonna get to some of the snafus that we had with this stream. Oh, perfect. There is a message that is about to broadcast, which is good timing because I want to think about what I want to talk about next. So this is going to be the E6 on the West Coast. It's going to broadcast a message. I'm not super sure what call sign it's going to use. I think it's Green Sky still. And that is going to start within, the next 20 seconds or so. We're just going to quietly wait. Or if it doesn't start, I will talk about the next thing I was going to discuss. Come on.
All stations. This is Green Sky. Green Sky. Break. Quebec. 5. Hotel. 6. Victor. Bravo. Stand by. Quebec. 5. Hotel. 6. Victor. Bravo. Stand by. Quebec. 5. Hotel. 6. Victor. Bravo. Stand by. Message follows. Quebec. 5. Hotel. 6. Victor. Bravo. Tango. X-ray. Lima. 2. Echo. India. November. Golf. Tango. Bravo. Delta. Quebec. Echo. 6. Charlie. Golf. X-ray. Foxtrot. Alpha. Hotel. Charlie. Victor. 6. Bravo. I say again. Quebec. 5. Hotel. 6. Victor. Bravo. Tango. X-ray. 2. Echo. India. November. Golf. Tango. Bravo. Delta. Quebec. Echo. 6. Charlie. Golf. X-ray. Foxtrot. Alpha. Hotel. Charlie. Victor. 6. Bravo. This is Green Sky. More to follow. Stand by. Quebec. 5. Uniform. Mike. Quebec. 3. Stand by. Quebec. 5. Uniform. Mike. Quebec. 3. Stand by. Quebec. 5. Uniform. Mike. Quebec. 3. Stand by. Message follows. Quebec. 5. Uniform. Mike. Quebec. 3. Delta. 2. 3. Yankee. Sierra. Romeo. 7. Foxtrot. Sierra. Echo. November. Oscar.
So that's this guy that we're hearing broadcasting these messages, right? uh, on the 20s and the 50s. So Sorrel 56, Alpha Echo 0415. And that's a decent enough segue to, I guess, the next thing that I want to talk about, which is just the flight traffic, how it's looking right now. Again, with the grain of salt that I seem to have a lot of like little small clerical issues when I'm tracking these planes and the hex codes and who's what and where, and sometimes I get confused. This would be my current understanding of the situation. Sorrel 56 is airborne. That's the plane that's broadcasting the EAMs for the West Coast right now. This is landed, this E6. This rough '07 is like a practice call sign. It's not in the air anyways. Here are the two E4s, and last night we saw them do these very strange maneuvers where they were pretty much like overlapping each other's flight paths. And there's a gentleman, Tim, in the live stream chat box who pointed out this could be kind of a deception tactic, something to confuse anyone if they're tracking E4s because they want to target one because they think a very important person, a VIP, if you like, is on one of the planes. That's probably not what the case was last night, but certainly it could be a maneuver that they were practicing at that time. Nonetheless, those guys are both landed. They've been landed most of the day. Today, I don't think they've been up in the air. Someone can correct me on that, but when I've checked in, they've not been anywhere. Porgy 58, not sure exactly when he landed. I don't know if I can easily pull this up. Okay, I can. I just have to zoom in a lot. So he landed sometime around 12:27, if that number is to be trusted. So he's not broadcasting the EAMs for the East Coast. It is most likely this plane, which is still in the air. That says 2342, I believe. So Pella 56, Alpha Echo 0412. That is who is broadcasting the East Coast gas mask messages. Now, the current time is 23:56. So in 4 minutes, all these call signs are going to change over. Not the ones on the flight radar, but all the ones that they're using over the HFGCS for the radio. Those swap over at 0000 Zulu every day. So we're not going to hear green sky or gas mask anymore. We're also not going to hear textbook anymore. Most likely, there have been these odd fringe cases where someone keeps a call sign. I don't know what the conditions are to allow for that. I would not be surprised if this ends up being one of those conditions. But today looks like kind of continuation of what we saw yesterday, where again, you have planes on both coasts. They're repeating these messages over and over. A review of the live stream from last night shows that they were doing it all night for whatever reason. And that is the sitch. That is the situation. Now, as I mentioned, after today, if this continues, I'm not going to be able to continue to transcribe all the messages like this, the way I have been. Um, and I'm going to take time to clean up these last few and reconcile things so that yesterday and today, um, and actually tomorrow, April 11th, we'll have a lucky, unless it's like an overwhelming amount of messages, whenever there's a good K-pop song, I do the, I'll pull it up so that anyone who's new to this channel who doesn't know what I'm talking about will see. The Daily Time Card project is now going to be exclusively when new K-pop songs that I really like debut. So there will be a new entry in this series, and I'll post it on Twitter. And that was the other thing I wanted to mention. So can I pull that up on this browser? I don't think that's doable. I'll have to throw it to Arc. Let's see. So twitter.com, x.com/NEET INTEL. I will post information here. I posted some information yesterday and today, some quick snapshots, a little information, things that you're hearing me talk about during the stream right now. A lot of that came out on Twitter first. This morning, I kind of posted a very brief primer on what exactly is going on that you guys can read through. And I'll post more stuff there because it's easier to type a tweet and post a screenshot of something or even take a recording than it is to reconcile all these audio feeds and make sure that I have the right stream on screen and that I don't have static overtaking me while I'm talking. Um, Not that I don't mind doing it. It's good practice because I'm interested in doing this kind of thing. But at the end of the day, it's always easier to throw up a tweet. So I know some guys and gals do not like Twitter, but it's not a big deal. I promise you, it's the future. I'll just quickly look through some notifications. Aw, bless your heart. And you're in the chat box as well. Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream while I'm kind of deprecating it. Um, we're on track for 100 EAMs. So I think we're now at like 110, possibly higher, because I have to double check everything that's going on while I've been talking. Uh, let's see. Again, it takes me a moment to make sure the right thing is on the screen for you guys to see. Pepe is just saying, Pepe Ragozin is saying your April Fool's was hilarious. No, my April Fool is unfortunate. So for anyone not familiar, what happened on April 1st of this year, I spent all of March negotiating with a Chinese investor who said, the work I was doing was really good and they wanted to invest in things. And I kind of thought, well, this is a prank. This can't be real, right? We'll scroll down. But they said, no, no, it's real. They sent me a check and they said, just wait until April 1st to cash it. It's all good. Like, I had like Zoom meetings with these people and all kinds of stuff. And I spoke to these people a lot and we had a deal. I was excited to announce to you guys the future of HFGCS monitoring. This was going to be something I would do full time. And later that day on April 1st, I went to the bank after kind of already meeting my end of the bargain and changing to Chinese language tweets um, and Chinese language branding for this channel. And I went to cash the check later that day, and the check bounced. And then I called them and they weren't picking up the phone, and I emailed and the email just bounced and said like, no, it's not a real thing. The email's not real. You got pranked, bro. So see, this guy, I don't know what he's talking about. He was like, "Oh, it's April Fool's Day." I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't even realize it was April 1st." So no, I would never do an April Fool's, and I would not like double down like 10 days after April Fool's and insist on the gimmick being real because it's funny. That's not how I operate. Anyone who's followed me long enough knows that I don't take a joke too far and confuse and upset people. That was real, not an April Fool's joke. 100% legit. And to any other Chinese investors who are legitimate, feel free to email me. Maybe we can work something out for next April 1st, 2025. Jay has a comment. Thank you for the stream. Consider cross-posting to Mastodon. Maybe a bunch of radio dorks over there. Takes care of your not on X problem. Ultimately, the thing is, I'm not going to start like doing 10 different social networks. I'll tell you, it's enough of a hassle managing like Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, and YouTube memberships, and I'm actually getting money for that. Um, if people don't want to use Twitter, that's fine. They cannot use Twitter. I'm going to continue to use Twitter, not because I'm a huge Elon Musk fanboy. I think the guy is kind of goofy. Anyone who dated Grimes for as long as he did has to have some screws loose. But the website is still the same website it was before Elon bought it. In some ways, it's better. In some ways, it's worse. Um, if people don't want to use it, that's fine. They're welcome to not use it. I will keep doing it. Just taking a quick look through some things in the background here, just to see if there's anything else to talk about. This commentary stream is not meant to be as long as yesterday's. Now that we kind of have most of the gist of what's going on, my impression is that this is a military exercise, something along the lines of global thunder, global lightning, global precipitation, whatever it is the US military is doing right now, probably scheduled in advance. I'm eager to see whether this develops into a SKYMASTER exercise, or possibly, we get into a question of what really is a SKYMASTER exercise. Do I need to hear them say SKYMASTER for it to count? If they're still doing all the other stuff that I've previously said is associated with it. In the previous stream, I said SKYMASTER messages. The E6s do weird things. There's a lot of messages in a very relatively short period of time. 100 EAMs today. That's crazy. 274 messages. We got one. All that we're really missing is someone saying SkyMaster. We're also missing SkyMaster format messages and things like that. But just like it's becoming apparent, and when I say that, let me pull something up so that it's apparent to you as well, in case it's not. Not that. Um, where is this? Where is the thing? This is why I hate this. There we go. There's different types of EAMs. And you will notice this when you actually transcribe them. If you just listen to an EAM and say, hey, I heard an EAM, you'll never notice this. But if you spend a little bit more time, you'll begin to notice there are different kinds. So just like there are different kinds of EAMs, I wonder if there are different kinds of SkyMaster events where you don't necessarily get everything. We've got this. We've got a lot of EAMs. We got a 274 message. In the previous stream today and yesterday, we heard them talking on other alternate frequencies. We haven't heard this. We haven't heard this. But, maybe there's like degrees of SkyMasters where, okay, fine, you didn't get this, you didn't get this, you didn't get this, or this, but 3 out of 5, that's something. Some exercises are more intense and involve more, and I had the wrong screen up again. I'm sorry about that. Da, 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 da. This is why I don't want to do these streams for very long. So there are different types of EAMs, just based on the prefixes. I'm gonna have to undo all this now. And there are different kinds of traffic associated with SkyMaster events historically. So we've got this. We've got a lot of traffic. We got a 274 message. We've got the E6s broadcasting on all kinds of crazy frequencies. We don't have this. We don't have this. Now, we might get those still. They might show up, but let's say they don't. We don't see them. That never happens. And it's just these three things. That's still abnormal HFGCS traffic. It's still suggestive of something bizarre going on. And that could count, I guess. And we've got something going on in the region.
This is Phil with the test count out.
That was just mainsail with a test count. That wasn't anything too exciting. So yeah, if it is a military exercise, it could still develop into a full-blown SkyMaster event, or maybe This just shows us there are different degrees of SKYMASTER events, so 3 out of 5 ain't bad, and we can't expect all of these to be as intense and of the same level of magnitude as the January SKYMASTER events. Or you know what? The alternate hypothesis is right. Maybe this does have to do with Iran or Russia or any number of things. I'm not convinced. I would like to see someone put together something that demonstrates that. Because Lord knows I've put together a lot of data. Nothing I've ever looked at made me think, oh wow, this is definitely X is causing Y. At the start, it really looked like it. When I started doing this in 2022, I remember there was days with like similar to what we're talking about right now, actually. Let's pull this up. There we go, Jamie. Pull that up. When I started, this is like the first message I transcribed. And then you kind of go down. And there were days where here, this message was repeated a bunch of times. January 27th, and then this kind of leads into, what was it, February 22nd? And you had all kinds of crazy traffic and etc. etc. You had this message being repeated a lot. And things like this, and I thought, my goodness, these EAMs are predicting that a war is about to start in Ukraine. But then this day turns out to be not that unorthodox or unique. You scroll down and you quickly scroll down to later months, but November, there were days that I thought were very strange. There was the quadruple eight message in November that I thought was very strange. Again, you have messages being repeated. These are just random days where you'll find a high amount of traffic. November 30th was a day with 50 messages. And I asked people, I said, what's going on in Ukraine? What's going on in Russia? And nobody had any answer for me. And I thought, well, how is that possible? Because this day with like 50 messages is more than days where people said, oh, there's 30 messages. That means this or that. I mean, it doesn't line up for me. Whisper comments. Only thing that would back it up is that any US assets in that area will be on a heightened readiness level. They have to get those instructions from somewhere.
This is mess kit. Mess kit. Break. Quebec. 5. Hotel. 6. Victor. Bravo. Stand by. Quebec. 5. Hotel. 6. Victor. Bravo. Stand by. Quebec. 5. Hotel. 6. Victor. Bravo. Stand by. Message follows. Quebec. 5. Hotel. 6. Victor. Bravo. Tango. X-ray. Lima. 2. Echo. India. November. Golf. Tango. Bravo. Delta. Quebec. Echo. 6. Charlie. Golf. X-ray. Foxtrot. Alpha. Hotel. Charlie. Victor. 6. Bravo. I say again. Quebec. 5. Hotel. 6. Victor. Bravo. Tango. X-ray. Lima. 2. Echo. India. November. Golf. Tango. Bravo. Echo. 6. Charlie. False. X-ray. Foxtrot. Alpha. Hotel. Charlie. Victor. 6. Bravo. This is gas mask. More to follow. Stand by. Quebec. 5. Uniform. Mike. Quebec. 3. Stand by. Quebec. 5. Uniform. Mike. Quebec. 3. Stand by. Quebec. 5. Uniform. Mike. Quebec. 3. Stand by. Message follows. Quebec. 5. Uniform. Mike. Quebec. 3. Delta. 2. 3. Yankee. Sierra. Romeo. 7. Foxtrot. Sierra. Echo. November. Oscar. Sierra. 7. Kilo. Delta. Echo. 2. 6. Whiskey. Sierra. November. Papa. Zulu. I say again. Quebec. 5. Uniform. Mike. Quebec. 3. Delta. 2. 3. Yankee. Sierra. Romeo. 7. Foxtrot. Sierra. Echo. November. Oscar. Sierra. 7. Kilo. Delta. Echo. 2. 6. Whiskey. Sierra. November. Papa. Zulu. This is Mess Kit. Out. This is Mess Kit. Mess Kit. Standing by for traffic. I say again, this is Mess Kit. Mess Kit. Standing by for traffic. This is Mess Kit. Out.
So the transcription I shared earlier, I had the call sign as medkit, but on listening to him repeated just now, sounds more like mess kit. That's fine. It's one or the other. I'm not too bothered about that, but I just want to give you guys a heads up. Pepper goes in had a good question. Have I ever linked any of these dates to sea trials or exercises? I have not. I've asked people to do that because I've kind of been curious about whether things like EAMs ever line up with, I don't know, aircraft carrier movements or designations or things like that. Or really anything with the Navy, since we know that Strategic Communications Wing 1, the E6s that we're talking about so much, are actually part of the Navy. So that seems like a natural connection to me, and it would surprise me more if there weren't relationships you could find there between dates of EAMs and certain message traffic with activity by the Navy, or I don't know, do other armed forces divisions use boats? The questions I ask sometimes. I mean, to be fair, who knew the Navy used planes? Someone's getting very mad because they can't tell how much whether I'm joking or not. Someone is watching this stream and thinking, what an idiot. This guy, how is this guy streaming? He doesn't know what he's talking about. And it's a fair question. It's just I have a lot of time on my hands. And speaking of, if you have a lot of time on your hands, I don't plug this very hard because God knows if you don't like Discord, I don't blame you. But I have put together a Discord server, and it's not the most active thing or useful thing, but it's sort of useful for pasting some information. And again, most of the information that's relevant, you guys are going to see it on my Twitter, but sometimes there's stuff that there's not really any reason to tweet about. So there's some secondary frequencies for the HFGCS I have pasted in here. I've pasted some information about previous SKYMASTER events, what frequencies we heard using, some information on the Charlie Echo and the other Charlie windows. So we heard them using the Charlie Echo window today a bunch. We've heard that before. We heard them mention Charlie Foxtrot, and I swapped over to that frequency, and they didn't seem to use it, so I don't think that frequency is in use. It most likely is just Charlie Echo. All this stuff that I'm just kind of like dryly rambling about right now. Oh, let's hop over because there's a message going.
Message follows. Quebec 5 Hotel 6 Victor Bravo Tango X-ray Lima 2 Echo India November Golf Tango Bravo Delta Quebec Echo 6 Charlie Golf X-ray Foxtrot Alpha Hotel Charlie Victor 6 Bravo. I say again. Quebec 5 Hotel 6 Victor Bravo Tango X-ray Lima 2 Echo India November Golf Tango Bravo Delta Quebec Echo 6 Charlie Golf X-ray Foxtrot Alpha Hotel Charlie Victor 6 Bravo. This is Mona Lisa. More to follow. Stand by. Quebec 5 Uniform Mike Quebec 3 stand by.
I'm sorry, but what kind of frickin' call sign is Mona Lisa? Who do these guys think they are?
3 stand by. Quebec 5 Uniform Mike Quebec 3 stand by. Message follows. Quebec 5 Uniform Mike Quebec 3 Delta 2 3 Yankee Sierra Romeo 7 Foxtrot Sierra Echo November Oscar Sierra 7 Kilo Delta Echo 2 6 Whiskey Sierra November Papa Tulu. I say again. Quebec 5 Uniform Mike Delta, 2, 3, Yankee, Sierra, Romeo, 7, Foxtrot, Sierra, Echo, November, Oscar, Sierra, 7, Kilo, Delta, Echo, 2, 6, Whiskey, Sierra, November, Papa, Zulu. This is Mona Lisa, out. This is Mona Lisa, standing by for traffic. I say again, this is Mona Lisa, standing by for traffic. This is Mona Lisa, out. This is Intel, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, sorry, I'm back. I stepped away for a moment. I figured that message would last long enough for me to make a cuppa, and it almost lasted me the thing. Yeah, Mona Lisa's a fine. They can use, these goofy call signs, but that one just strikes me as a bit much. Mona Lisa. Uh, yeah, I think we'll end off with this. I don't want to plug the Discord because I hate Discord. Anyone who doesn't like Discord is good in my book. Um, it's just everyone I know uses it, so I'm stuck using it as well. So it's an option I threw together. And again, it's not so much plugging the Discord. What have I done? It's not very active. It's more just plugging the information in it. So there's some info in here. Some stuff on quadruple eight messages. There's some threads if you know how to use threads on Twitter. And it's really just more the information in here than the Twitter. So what I would encourage you guys to do is, if you're interested, you can kind of take these streams that I'm running as a given. They're not perfect, right? Pull it up again here. Never mind this stream for the moment, but just some version of this stream will continue to run. This will run during the day, and I might run it during the night as well, although actually I shouldn't because the computer running it is not good. I'll think about how to handle that. What I might do is not run this overnight to run this, if you understand what I'm trying to say. But I've got 8992 covered, 11175 mostly covered. So it's these other frequencies that play around on SDRs, see if you can pick up something I'm not. Like during the SKYMASTER event in January, and I'll just show you guys from the notes. None of these are usual HFGCS frequencies. 4721, 507, like none of those numbers are I read off. I've never heard EAMs on those. I don't know that those are even used outside of SKYMASTER events. They could be being used right now. Normally that's what I would be doing is kind of jumping around and looking for all these frequencies. Um, but getting the information out by running these streams, managing this and so on, that kind of borrows the time I can spend just faffing around randomly on an SDR and picking up some other stuff. So that you guys, if you want to look through for that, that's definitely something you can do. And if you want to coordinate your efforts, like that's what that server could be used for. You know, one of you could say, hey, I'm going to cover, I don't know, pick any one of these or pick more likely what you're going to want to pick. Where is it? Did I even post it from the server? Charlie Windows. I don't even have it in here. There's some, well, some of these. No, I don't have it in here. And I can't pull it up because that's in a server that I cannot share. There's some additional Stratcom frequencies that I will dump into that server at some point, and you guys can look for that. And if you want, I can post it on Twitter as well or something. I'll maybe post it in this stream. Not this stream because it's about to end, but I'll post it in the chat box for the main stream that's ongoing right now. So there's some additional frequencies you guys can check out. Um, and I mean, if you have a computer that could run a live stream for a bit and you can archive one of those, that would be nifty. I'm very happy to plug someone's channel if they're just, you know, some data. Speaking of, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to try and keep this stream compact, and we're pretty much at the run of what I want to talk you guys over right here. I think I've addressed most of your questions, but I will give it a moment. And because there is this goofy lag going on, because I clicked a ridiculous setting for YouTube live streams, I don't even know why they have an option for a live stream to be delayed by like a solid minute and a half. But from here, I'll wait a minute or two, see if you guys have any questions that come up in the chat box. If not, we'll call it. And the streams will run. And you'll probably see me do over the next hour is fiddle around with the main stream, because the stream that I'm using right now, I'm not going to be able to keep refreshing it every 60 minutes because it kicks me off. And again, it's fair enough if it wants to do that. They're providing it free. I can't make too many demands, but I have to see if I can either find another one that doesn't have timeout limits that's getting good reception, but I will say the one I've traditionally used continues to have problems with receiving any of these messages, and I don't know what's going on. Kansas, middle of the US, the E6s are not especially close. It's as far as away as it could be from them. I guess that's the issue. So again, I'll just wait a little bit to see if you guys have any more questions or anything that you need clarified. Doesn't seem like it, no worries. If someone's in the middle of writing a long question, if you post it in either the other chat box or something, let me know. But failing that, the note I want to leave off on, again, Artemis is an amazing K-pop band. If you haven't listened to Birth or watched the music video for it, it's incredible. It's a caliber you would not expect from Korean pop music. It's very artistic. The song is really cool. And we're only a few hours away from their next single coming out. Please check it out if you love K-pop. If you don't like K-pop, check it out. Maybe you'll like this because it's really different from the rest of the genre. That said, April 11th, we're still seeing these E6s repeating these messages. We have no idea how long this is going to go on for. I guess we'll find out. That's it for me. I would love to play some neat outro music, but getting a copyright license for The Chase by Giorgio Moroder is way too expensive. So instead, I'm just going to wish you guys a good morning, good afternoon, good night, and I'll probably talk to some of you in the next hour or so on one of the other streams anyways. So that's it for me.